This is Hidden Killers Week in Review.
A look back at the most prolific stories of the week.
You're listening to the Hidden Killers podcast with Tony Brueski.
Featuring attorney, guest, and former felony prosecutor Eric Faddis.
Murder of Madeline Soto, something we've been talking about now since the beginning of the year, and this horrible, horrible act was committed. The allegations are against Stephan Stearns, the boyfriend of Madeline's mom, and it doesn't just reside with murder. It also includes acts of rape, of sexual violence against a child. She just turned 13 years old, and there's a litany of photographs and videos in the phone of Stephan Stearns going back years. That's how initially he was charged, and now, of course, faces the death penalty for first-degree murder. Joining me to discuss, Eric Faddis, defense attorney and former prosecutor. Jailhouse letters and calls. I want to talk about that with this part of the case because, we got some interesting communications between mom and Stephan, and there's a level of cognizant dissonance here, but I'm wondering if there's more knowledge here on the part of mom. How do you advise your clients when they're going to be in prison in terms of communicating with their families? Is it anything like this?
All right, Tony, I'm telling you that this is the most maddening thing as a defense attorney. Yeah. You emphasize so firmly, hey, look, they're going to be listening to the jail calls. They're going to be monitoring your mail. They're going to be monitoring your email. And they're going to nitpick little things that they can use against you in your case. So don't have communications about the case on those mediums. And then lo and behold, in this case, Stephan, there's an email from the mother that is incriminating, surely, and that also sort of brings Stephan Stearns' mother into the fold as a potential witness here. And so this thing is sort of growing, the tentacles of this, horrible tragedy with Madeline Soto are beginning to come far-reaching and bringing in other folks.
I think a lot of us have had moments in life where it's like, Mom, don't say that. What? I was just, and I'm wondering, I mean, this is like the ultimate one. I'm going to read a portion of the letter that his mom had sent him. And it says, I keep thinking about how you would not ever rat out a friend. It really made me mad, and I felt like you valued them over us when you let them get away with stuff. Don't be doing that again. We all know, redacted. I'm going to assume she's talking about Jen Soto here. This is conjecture. We don't know. Was heavily involved in this, and I am disgusted that she is free and you are not when this is not all your fault. What the hell does mom know? And why does she know it is the other question here.
Yeah, there's going to be the moment after law enforcement found that, I imagine within 30 minutes, there were detectives and or FBI agents at the mother's door ready to grill her on what secret inside information she might have. And yes, the way the email reads, it implicates a woman, clearly. And it seems to suggest that it's Jen Soto. We don't know for sure. But if so, that means that Jen Soto has what a lot of people suspected, which could be significant involvement in this death and abuse.
What I find to be really disturbing is it seems mom had knowledge that these things were like going on and was like, well, we know it's not all your fault, but I think it's not your fault if she believes her son's innocent. Not all. That's a key all in a sentence right there. And I kind of go back to, okay, what's the recipe that made Stephan Stearns? Well, here's the main ingredient, mom. And what the hell? I mean, could she be criminally implicated in some of this? Mom, if she had some sort of knowledge that her son, and this is just conjecture, or Jen Soto were involved in some sort of, child pornography, clearly that was going on, or some sort of a sex trafficking ring or something. Granted, she did have her doors numbered in her house, which I also find really weird. Is mom knowledgeable about this? It's like, well, what does your son do for a living? He runs a sex ring with his girlfriend's daughter. She's just turning 13. Great birthday party, good cake. But, that's what they do on the weekend. I mean, what the hell? What the hell?
It's so bizarre to think that, someone in good conscience could possess this information, knowing there's ongoing abuse of a 13-year-old, and just do nothing, to just let that child suffer, and not only suffer but ultimately die. There's been kind of a trend in the law where someone has knowledge of something horrible that's going to happen, and they have the opportunity to intervene, and they do nothing, and then a person dies. Sometimes the individual with that knowledge can be prosecuted for involuntary homicide or obstruction or other charges.
The only thing it's not. It's logical because it's horrible human behavior. But obviously, if this is just conjecture, if there was abuse from mom or whoever in that family towards Stephan as a child, which if I was a betting man, I would say there probably was, considering what he was into. That doesn't kind of come out of nowhere. But again, it's just conjecture. She's innocent, and he is too until proven guilty. But it does really make you wonder what the hell that life was like with mom coming out and saying this and being so just disconnected from reality. She ends the letter, "Well, I'm off to feed the curly ones now." I'm assuming dogs. "Loves, hugs, and prayers now, and every day and night, Mom." What?
Right. Yeah, we shift from this like nefarious knowledge of some kind of horrible goings on and abuse and what have you to, I'm going to go feed the pups now. It just seems, like you said, kind of a detached from reality.
Yeah. Why isn't Jen Soto facing charges yet?
I think a lot of people are asking that question, and folks thought perhaps charges would have come, weeks, if not months before now. I can't tell if the government is slow playing it and just gathering evidence, if they are trying to enlist Jen Soto for cooperation against Stephan Stearns, or if they simply just don't have the evidence to prove her involvement. It's a little up in the air now, but with this letter from Stephan Stearns' mom, that adds to increases the likelihood that Jen Soto would be charged.
I think a lot of us are concerned that if she is cooperating with the government, that it's going to be one of those situations where, she gets off very lightly. Is there kind of a tipping point where, look, we're going to let you off as long as you cooperate with us versus we're going to go light on you? Because you were clearly involved in these sort of things. Again, she's innocent, has not been charged with anything. All conjecture. We're just basing this on what evidence exists. But is there a line there? Or is it really kind of respective of each case where they say, you're free, just keep singing, or you're a really horrible person and did a lot of these things, but you're helping us as well, so less charges? I don't know.
There's no bright line rule. It's usually a case by case basis. It reminds me of a case, I think it was Montgomery.
Yeah. Kayla Montgomery.
Where essentially the mother and father had varying degrees of involvement. It appears the father was significantly more involved. And so the mother cooperated with the government, testified against the father, and she got something like 12 months, 18 months in prison for the death of it, for being involved in the death of a child. And I could see this kind of a case going that direction.
That is so disturbing. If she's involved anywhere near the level that Kayla Montgomery was, which we all watched that, we talked about it too when that was happening. It would just be, it's a miscarriage of justice, but I guess it's kind of that trade-off of, is she going to reveal more than just about Stephan? Because these sort of things, typically there's more involved if you're trafficking a child. And again, you have the numbers on your door.
Totally. And I've got to imagine on top of that, the digital footprint with some of these alleged like child pornography and the transfers and the distributions and things like that, even with encryption, even with trying to cover that up, there are digital forensics that can sometimes uncover who was involved. And oftentimes it's a web. It's a web of people. It's not just like two individuals at their home. This is more of a large scale operation. And so I'll be interested to see who else could be implicated.
That's what's scary about this and so sad. Again, this is complete conjecture, but I'm wondering if she was almost like it sounds horrible, like the madam of some sort of a fucked up sex ring at her house with her daughter, and Stephan's part of it. And there's these pictures. how she's not aware of this. She's encouraging him to go sleep and cuddle with her daughter. There's just so much off about all of this that just leads you to go, this is horrible. The digital footprint, we've now seen a bit from Stephan. At least we know about the pictures and the images and the videos, but we don't know about the text messages yet. That's going to be extremely revealing, I think, as this continues.
Oh, without question. And I think that there'll be a lot of exchanges between Stephan and Jen Soto that are brought to light and just kind of showing the greater involvement. Because like you said, it's just strange credulity to think that she didn't know what was going on in her own home. So when she's making statements like, hey, go sleep in the same bed as my 12-year-old daughter and stuff like that. And the allegation that this was happening over the course of years, there is photographic evidence, there is video evidence. And to think that she just had her head in the sand the whole time and knew nothing, I don't buy it.
Yeah, I don't either. And we'll have to see what happens as this just gets darker by the day.
Want to listen ad-free? Want advanced access to all of our interviews before anyone else?
Become a True Crime Today Premium Plus subscriber on Apple Podcasts.
You get every episode commercial-free.
So you can binge on true crime
until you can binge no more.
Search True Crime Today Premium Plus on Apple Podcasts now, or go to our podcast page and sign up now.
More of the Hidden Killers podcast next.